All right, Laura, you're back. You're
Hi,
next.
everyone. Of course, I had to freeze when it was my turn. Hi, I'm happy to be here again. So I came in November and we talked about my niche. So I went back to the video and I just want to post what I have and maybe it's it and that's it and then I can move on.
Okay, let's see what you got.
So I'll put it in the chat, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, I teach mindfulness to children and teens and parents for those who weren't
So
there.
I'll read this out.
Yeah.
So I help parents who are at their wits' end, feeling desperate because their kids have tantrums and emotional outbursts all the time, are anxious on a daily basis about small things, have trouble falling asleep by themselves. Every night it's a battle. They've tried everything. They don't know what to do. Where I get them, parents feel like they've done the right thing so they can move on with their life. Okay. I think that's pretty clear. I mean, I know if I'm that or not. Here's the next level of it. I would say basically it's clear. Basically, I get it. And I imagine parents would see themselves and understand that. The next level would be, what types of parents do you want to work with? Because not every parent is going to be a fit. Let's just say this. So I invite everyone to imagine. Let's just come up with some examples. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. This is the stadium question. And the stadium question is this. Imagine Laura's in a stadium full of 60,000 people, and every single one of them would answer to this description. Every single one of them is a parent who is at their wits' end with their kids, acting out in behavior. And they really want to do the right thing. They want to feel like, at least I'm in integrity, I'm doing what I can so they can move on. All 60,000 people are that. But now, Laura can ask them 5 questions. And if she can reduce that number to 100 people, she gets to have all 100 of them as clients. If it's 101, she gets none of them. So she has to get it to 100 or less. Yeah, that's the game. So what we're saying is we're trying to filter. We're trying to take it down from 60,000 to less than 1% of that. What are the imagine you are her now, and you're on stage and you get to ask the audience questions. Probably going to be, yes or no questions, very simple questions. Yeah, let's make them yes or no questions. Kind of, what are the questions that you would ask that could just, the types of things you could ask. And great, Volker, thanks for typing up the question there. So what are the types of questions you might ask to hone? I mean, imagine it was you. Okay, so we're seeing some questions here. So everyone feel free to put in a question. Because what I'm saying, like, what's a question you could ask that might eliminate almost everybody? Like 90% of the people just walk out. Yeah. Because if the question is too generic and people can't really answer it, they won't leave. Well, maybe, I don't know, I'll just stay in my seat. Because let's just say that's a question. Oh, is that not true for you? Then leave the stadium. Great. Who do we have left? Okay, now I'm going to ask you this question. Oh, that's not true for you? Please leave. We're trying to make sure there's only 100 people left in the stadium. Now, it's a little tricky what I'm giving you because we don't know much about Laure and her values, her point of view, and so we're giving fairly generic things. But I'm doing this because I think this is useful for us all to think about this filtering question. Because most of us were too generic, we're too broad, and so people can't really. Because right now, my guess is a lot of parents would say, "Oh yeah, that's me," but that's every parent. That's the risk we could run, and also every other parenting coach is saying about what Laura has said. And parenting coaching, from what I've heard, is tricky. It's just a tricky business to be in. So we want to be more specific, yeah? We want to get it, so it's not, there's a difference in, we want to establish relevance, but there are two types of relevance, broadly speaking. There's shallow and wide relevance, yeah, where people say, yeah, I guess that's me, yeah, sure. And then there's narrow and deep relevance. And narrow and deep is when people say, yes, that's me. Oh my God, is that me? You see the difference. Shallow and wide is like, yeah, I guess. And narrow and deep is hell yes. So we're going for the hell yes. We're going for a very specific thing. Okay, so I'm going to read over some of these. Right. So do you practice attachment parenting or conscious parenting? So the question here is you could kind of bring forward your point of view, because let's just say that was Laure's thing, is she focuses on attachment parenting. So she might say, raise your hand if you're a fan of attachment parenting. And she's wanting clients that already are that. That could be a filter. Great. Anyone else? You haven't even heard of it? Go. I don't want to work with you. You could do that. Are you a parent who has a high anxiety child? So yeah, you may want to focus on kids with very high anxiety. And if your kid's kind of middle, and here's how you would know if they're high anxiety. No, great, leave. Are you willing to learn mindfulness with your child? Right, that might be a thing. It's like, look, a lot of the challenges with your kids are actually with you. Are you willing to do this work? Can you commit X hours to this every week? That's a great filtering question. Boy, everyone on this call could probably take that to the bank. Are you willing to spend this much time a week? No, you're not serious. Come back when you're serious. Are you willing and able to take some time out of each day to integrate a practice into your daily routine, right? Whatever the practice is for the parents. But again, the X hours is an even better iteration of that, of like, are you willing to take at least this much time? Now, maybe that's 5 minutes, but maybe you're like, no, are you willing to take half an hour or 15 minutes? That's what it's going to take, you know. Are you an anxious person? Because maybe you want to or don't want to work with anxious parents. Do you have a meditation practice? No, leave. Or yes, leave. I hate meditation, you know. Are you into holistic health, natural healing, right? So this gets to the values. So that's one example, but there could be a bunch. Like in terms of the values, it could be, Laura says, I really want to work with environmentally conscious people, right? So she's like, are you a climate change denier, right? And make it either way, you know, I don't care in particular, but it could be like, yes, I'm a climate change denier. Perfect, my people, you know, take a step closer, or vice versa. Are you willing to do a transformation work for yourself as a parent? Yeah. Are you ready and willing to receive help? Are you willing, this was sent directly to me, are you willing to commit to a new approach every day? Some of these are a little vague. Are you ready and willing to receive help? Are you willing to try a new approach every day? It's a bit broad, I would just say, as a filter. So people would kind of hear that and say, yeah, I mean, sure, I guess, yeah. I would have a hard time here imagining people saying no. And what we want to do is divide the room with these questions. What kind of activities do you share with your child? That's not a yes or no question. Is your child in the range of 5 to 10 years old? Right, so you could define the age group. That's a great way to do it. Because maybe they'd come, it's like, oh yeah, 3 months old and just is so fussy. It's like, okay, out of it. But or because some parenting coaches really like to work with teens, like in that particular age range, and some of them it's younger, so you can do that. Right, does X or Y about my method align with your values? Sure, right, you could talk a bit and say, look, does that resonate with you? And if not, go. How committed are you to achieving your goals? You can certainly ask that as a question. Look, if you're not at a 9 or a 10, don't talk to me yet. Or do the group course, do the DIY stuff, but don't call me to talk to me. Right, do you suspect that that food intolerances are at the root of your child's behavior? Right, maybe this is just gut issues. Maybe that's a lot of it, if that's your point of view. So again, you can bring your point of view forward and say, do you think this? Because this is what I think, and if you don't, yeah. Are you willing to commit to a new approach of day again? Do you live in this town? There's a great question, because maybe you just want to work locally. That could divide the room. Okay, are you, so there's a lot. Are you woke? Are you this way? So the are you woke question, I would define that a bit more. Like, what do you mean by woke? Because boy, that word means real different things to different people. But you could Do you support anti-racism? Are you actively working on your own decolonization? Are you a hardcore Waldorf parent? Are you, so you see what I'm saying? There's kind of lifestyle, psychographic, worldview, values, things that you could put out. Because here's what we're going for in our marketing, I think, is we want to go for our ideal client, like the bullseye. That's our ideal client. Now, that's somebody who's 1 ring out, 2 rings out, 3 rings out. It's okay. You can still work with them. But in our marketing, we want to speak only to the bullseye. But that means we have to define the bullseye. Yeah. Right. Are your children neurodiverse? Either way, because it might be like, that's beyond my scope. I can't really help, when there's that at play, or it could be that's actually my thing. Does your child have a problem sitting still for segments of time relevant to her age? Right. I think that's sort of an extension. So how does that all land for you, Laure, as we went through that? What comes up for you?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. I didn't think we would go further, but I love that exercise. So, and I think I'm clear in my head who I want to work with because I've had those clients and so far they fit the bill. So
good.
Thank you.
It's yeah, that's the next level. Once you've got the kind of island A, island B, sometimes that's enough. But there's a few questions to ask yourself. One, are there a lot of other people doing this, all promising the same thing, speaking to the exact same island A and island B? Okay, if so, you may want to either hone the issue you work with. So for example, some parenting coach is like, I do bedtime. That's my thing. And it may expand from there, but that's their kind of lead magnet. That's what gets people in the door. Or are you always fighting with your kid? I work on the conflict thing, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So you could narrow the issue, but the other way to do it is you could narrow the type of person. I know we're all hippies here, but would you believe it? There are Republican parenting coaches. And believe this or not, they're really good people. And they do good. So there could be, let's say you're Republican and there's a question like, well, are you a fan of Donald Trump? No, please leave. I am. This is important. I don't know. Like you can, however you want to filter, you can filter. You can ask the questions, do you think Bill Gates is great? Yeah, get out of here. Do you read conspiracy theory books? Yeah, come closer. You can ask all these questions, whatever it is for you. Yeah, are you vegetarian? Are you not? Not all of it's going to matter for you, but we find out what matters for us, and we just get very honest with ourselves. Who would be my dream client? What are the people I would just love to spend time with? I would love to work with. What are they into already? Right. Do you envision abolition? Right. Polarized room. What do you think about vaccines? Holy hell. But you'd get the kind of clients that you want to work with, wouldn't you? And that's the goal. What's funny is, again, even if you speak to the bullseye, there will be people 2 or 3 rings out who come to you and they say, look, I know I'm not totally your ideal client, but I've been following you on social media. I love your stuff. Could I still work with you? Yeah. So but you're more likely to get the bullseyes if that's what you're aiming for. So hopefully that's useful for everyone. It's a good question to ask yourself. Like if I were on stage and they all are dealing with a problem that I'm helping them with, what are the 5 questions I might ask? That would leave me with about 100 people who are all just like, I can't even believe my luck. What? You solved this problem, but you're also into all these things? Oh man, people get very excited about this. So, okay.